That's very nice. Let's talk a little bit about how to get the property ready to be leased. What steps should be followed to prepare a property to be leased?
Well, it goes back to what I said just a couple of minutes ago. I mean, like we go through the property every inch, and we document everything on the condition, and we make sure that everything is in working order. We make sure everything is clean. We make sure there's an adequate number of smoke detectors, both for safety and to meet code, because every jurisdiction, every city has their own requirements. Uh, and there's federal requirements, there's state requirements, and then each local jurisdiction has their own requirements as well. So we have to make sure the property meets all of those requirements. Um, and then we go through and check all the appliances, dishwasher, stoves, ovens, microwaves, if they're included, and washers and dryers. We make sure everything works, garage door openers. If there's things that need to be repaired, cracks in the walls, broken windows, missing screens, everything. We make sure everything works. We make sure there's garage door openers. Uh, so yeah, the first step is just to go through the property and make sure everything's in working order and it's clean, and then ready for a tenant to move in.
Right. Have you have any case of any properties that you've been managing and that you cannot really meet those requirements and you have to return the property to the landlord?
Unfortunately, yes. I can give you an example right now of a property, unfortunately, my hands were kind of tied. It's an out-of-state investor who bought a property sight unseen, hired a local contractor that went in and literally he paid this person over $35,000 to totally rehab the property, put new appliances in and change out all the light fixtures and everything. And then hired me to manage the property for him. Well, when I went into the property, it was nowhere near ready to be rented. And again, the owner had never seen the property, so he didn't know the condition. He only knew what was sent to him in the pictures that the contractor provided. They didn't lay the hardwood flooring correctly, so there was gaps in all the hardwood flooring, and it moved. It was a laminate engineered kind of a hardwood, and it wasn't installed correctly, so it moved when you walked on it. There was gaps in the hardwood floor, so that needed to be repaired. The electrical did not meet code. There was no grounding at all in the house, so that didn't meet code. There was loose wires behind the refrigerator and behind the microwave. There was just a lot of problems with this property. It had an exterior or detached garage that was unfortunately lower than the grade of the rest of the property. So whenever it rained, the garage would have about 2 inches of water in it. Yeah, we had to, I gave him a quote to rehab the property and get it up to meet the standards, but he was already so upside down to this property, he didn't have the money to any further money to invest in it. So he ended up actually selling the property to another investor who finished it.
Talking about that, what are the key improvements that are necessary to lease a property?
Well, I mean, it's really, it's the same thing as you'd want to improve for a house that you're going to sell. From a rental standpoint, the key thing is to make sure that everything works. But at the same time, I mean, tenants, just like owners, they want to have nice appliances. They want to have nice kitchens. Depending on the area, maybe it needs granite countertops. But really, it's the kitchens and bathrooms that sell properties, and it's the kitchens and bathrooms that help you lease the property.
Right, so you focus more on the kitchen, the bathrooms, than other areas of the house, like the outside?
Well, obviously, curb appeal is really important as well. And with a rental property, yes, you want nice landscaping, but at the same time, you don't want the landscaping to be too nice, because landscaping typically is the tenant's responsibility during the term of the lease. And if they don't have the time or the know-how to really upkeep the property in its current condition, You don't want it to be too nice. You want it to be nice visually, but you don't want them to look at it and say, "Oh my gosh, there's no way I'll be able to upkeep this." So yeah, obviously the exterior needs to be nice and visually appealing, but at the same time, again, you don't want it to be to a point where a tenant doesn't think they can maintain it.
Let's talk a little bit about the codes and regulations that you need to follow before this the property. Let's talk about those codes and regulations at the different levels.
Yeah, like I said a minute ago, federal and state, they have certain requirements that the properties have to meet, and those are typically geared towards your health and your safety. How many smoke detectors are required, for instance? You need one in every bedroom and typically one in each hallway leading to the bedrooms. For smoke detectors, you need carbon dioxide detectors, those kinds of things. But then even locally, every city has different requirements. Some cities require that you register rental properties, and you have to pay a fee to the city to register the property. They have inspectors come out and walk through the property to make sure that everything's working, make sure that it meets the other requirements. Do you have the proper locks on all the exterior doors? Do all the windows have screens on them? Do all the windows open and close properly? Those kinds of things. So yeah, we have to make sure that we know every city's requirements, the property's registered if it needs to be. And yeah, it's just a matter of meeting all those requirements and getting properly registered with the cities.
Does it take a long time to do the registration? Do you have to take 30, 60 days if the property needs repairs and then you need to go through the city process? Is that a difficult process and a process that takes time? That the landlord needs to be ready?
Well, it depends on the property itself. The rehab part of the property, if it needs a lot of work, that can generally it takes a week to 2 weeks to get a property ready, unless it is in just major disrepair and needs a lot of major work. As far as registering the property and doing all that with the city, no, that's usually a pretty simple process. Register the property, pay the fee. They usually get the inspector out within the next 2 or 3 days at the most. And if they approve the property, then you can start marketing for rent right away. If they don't, they'll give you a list of what needs to be done to make sure the property does meet their requirements. And then they'll come out and re-inspect after that's done.
Yeah, so you said that you are not a property management, but you need to know certain things to have the property qualified for the city and also for the tenant to be moving in.
Yes, it's definitely a process, knowing all the requirements.